Car culture often has a way of romanticizing the past, especially the 1970s muscle car scene. Ask any enthusiast, and they'll talk about tire smoke, raw V8 power, and the golden age of Detroit iron. But nostalgia can be deceptive. Under the hood of history, not every car lived up to the legend. While a few 70s icons have skyrocketed in value, others have quietly slid into obscurity, becoming poor investments for today's buyers. Some suffered from the tightening grip of emissions regulations. Others were victims of cost-cutting, poor engineering, or styling missteps that aged badly. By 2025, a surprising number of once proud muscle machines have fallen into the category of worthless for collectors, not necessarily because they can't be enjoyed, but because they simply don't make sense financially. Today's list is a reality check for anyone tempted to chase nostalgia without checking the fine print. Let's break down the 20 years 1970s muscle cars you might want to leave in the past. Number 20. 1974 Pontiac GTO. The 1974 Pontiac GTO arrived in a challenging era for performance cars, where regulations and rising fuel concerns reshaped the market. Under the hood, the once feared muscle machine now carried a 350 cubic inch V8, producing 200 horsepower, a sharp decline from its late 60s dominance. Its design shift further distanced it from its aggressive heritage, adopting Ventura-inspired lines that lacked distinctiveness. While it still wore the GTO badge, its road presence was muted, and enthusiasts noticed. The diminished performance paired with unremarkable styling meant it struggled to stand out among rivals. Over time, its appeal has remained limited, with collectors often focusing on earlier, more powerful GTOs. Resale values remain modest, and interest within the muscle car community is minimal. For those who seek originality, the 74 GTO offers a snapshot of a transitional automotive era, but it stands more as a historical footnote than a prized possession. In the modern market, its significance is tied more to its context than its capabilities. Number 19. AMC Gremlin. The AMC Gremlin's unconventional silhouette made it instantly recognizable, yet its attempt at muscle credibility was short-lived. Equipped with an optional 304 V8, it provided a modest boost in performance, though the driving dynamics remained unrefined. The steering lacked precision, body roll was prominent, and overall build consistency left room for improvement. Inside, materials felt utilitarian rather than premium, further reinforcing its budget-orientated nature. Its styling polarized audiences, with some embracing its quirkiness, while others viewed it as awkward. In automotive history, the Gremlin occupies an unusual space, notable for its individuality, but rarely celebrated for performance or refinement. Over the years, it has earned spots on various least desirable lists, a testament to its divisive reputation. By 2025, the market for these cars remains niche, appealing mostly to enthusiasts who appreciate their eccentric charm or have a personal connection. It stands today as a conversation piece more than a competitive collector's investment. Number 18. 1975 Ford Mustang Cobra II. The Mustang Cobra II carried a bold name and dramatic visuals, yet its performance told a different story. Developed during the fuel crisis, it reflected an industry pivot toward efficiency over power. The Cobra II package delivered stripes, spoilers, and a prominent snake emblem, but beneath the exterior sat a 302 V8, producing about 140 horsepower. Acceleration was modest, and the driving experience leaned toward comfort rather than aggression. While the styling caught attention, the mechanical substance fell short of the Mustang's performance heritage. For Ford, it was a strategic survival move, yet for enthusiasts, it represented compromise. The model's historical relevance lies in its role as a bridge between the classic muscle era and the downsized realities of the mid-1970s. However, in today's collector market, interest remains limited. Its appeal is largely nostalgic, drawing in those who remember its period styling rather than those chasing performance milestones or engineering excellence. Number 17. Oldsmobile Jet Star. The Oldsmobile Jet Star entered the market with aspirations of blending muscle performance and luxury refinement. Despite its potential, it struggled to carve out an identity within Oldsmobile's own lineup. Missing the convertible options and distinctive flair of other models, it often appeared understated compared to its peers. On the road, its performance was competent, but lacked the excitement needed to capture enthusiasts' attention. Buyers seeking luxury found better-equipped alternatives, while muscle car fans leaned toward more aggressive competitors. This middle-ground approach left the Jet Star without a clear audience. Production numbers were modest, and over time, it faded into relative obscurity. By 2025, it remains largely absent from major collector circles, surfacing mainly among dedicated Oldsmobile followers or those with personal memories tied to the model. For the wider market, it exists as a rare sight, acknowledged more for its scarcity than its impact. Its story is one of quiet presence rather than lasting influence. Number 16. 1977 Chevrolet Monza Spyder. The 1977 Chevrolet Monza Spyder promised sporty intentions with its sharp hatchback profile, bold decals, and aggressive trim. However, beneath the appealing exterior, performance failed to meet expectations. The 305 V8 option, though seemingly adequate on paper, delivered underwhelming acceleration and suffered from well-documented overheating issues. Its engine bay design further complicated maintenance, making even routine repairs challenging for mechanics and owners alike. Handling was reasonable for its class, but the overall driving experience leaned more toward commuter-friendly than performance-focused. At the time, its visual appeal drew in buyers seeking style, but the shortcomings in reliability and power quickly became apparent. In the decades since, it has gained little traction in the collector world. Today, the Monza Spyder is remembered for its design flair rather than any lasting mechanical achievement. It stands as an example of how 1970s automotive priorities often favored appearance packages over genuine performance enhancements, leaving enthusiasts wanting more. Number 15. Dodge Aspen RT. The Dodge Aspen RT arrived with an exterior that suggested strong performance potential. Striking stripes, sporty decals, and trim details aimed to draw in enthusiasts looking for power and style. Underneath, however, the driving experience lacked the urgency expected from its appearance. engine options provided only modest acceleration, leaving performance-minded buyers wanting more. Compounding this were serious durability concerns, with rust becoming a notorious issue in the model's lifespan. Maintenance and preservation have proven difficult, as surviving examples often require extensive restoration. For many collectors, the investment rarely justifies the end result unless there is personal nostalgia attached. In the late 1970s, the Aspen RT found a modest audience among those prioritizing looks over speed. But it never earned a spot among celebrated performance machines of the era. By 2025, it remains largely overlooked, remembered for its visual presentation rather than for delivering a rewarding driving experience. The name may sound bold, yet its lasting reputation is far more restrained. Number 14. Plymouth Volar Roadrunner. The Plymouth Volar Roadrunner carried one of the most recognized names in American performance history. Yet, by the late 1970s, the spirit of the original had faded. Built on the Volar platform, it offered an appearance package with sporty decals and unique badging, but its mechanical performance was subdued. Engine choices lacked the punch associated with earlier Roadrunners, and acceleration was modest at best. Quality control problems, including fit and finish issues and corrosion, further diminished its appeal. On the road, the experience leaned toward comfort rather than speed, which alienated longtime fans of the model's muscle heritage. While the nameplate retained recognition, the car itself was a product of a time when performance had been deprioritized in favor of economy and compliance with new regulations. Today, the Volar Roadrunner sits as a footnote in the brand's history, with interest limited mainly to those who collect for the sake of completing a full Roadrunner lineage rather than for standout performance credentials. Number 13. 1978 Ford Thunderbird. The 1978 Ford Thunderbird was a product of a market focused more on personal luxury than outright performance. Downsized compared to earlier models, it still carried a substantial weight, approaching 2 tons. Under the hood, available engines delivered adequate cruising power, but lacked the responsiveness expected by those seeking muscle car traits. The design emphasized a long hood, sharp lines, and a plush interior outfitted with comfort-orientated features. Buyers were offered a smooth, quiet ride, making it suitable for leisurely driving rather than spirited runs. While it sold well at the time due to its styling and comfort, in collector circles today, interest leans toward earlier, more powerful Thunderbirds, leaving the 1978 model largely overlooked. Its appeal is strongest among those with a preference for late 70s luxury styling. But for performance enthusiasts, it remains outside the primary field of interest, representing the shift away from traditional muscle priorities of the previous decade. Number 12. 1976 Pontiac Ventura SJ. The 1976 Pontiac Ventura SJ entered a competitive market, but struggled to establish a distinct presence. Built on the same platform as the Chevrolet Nova, it shared much of its design and engineering, which limited its individuality. While the SJ designation suggested a performance-orientated trim, the available power plants offered only moderate output, falling short of muscle car expectations. Styling was clean but conservative, lacking standout features that could set it apart. Buyers seeking excitement often gravitated toward other Pontiac models that delivered more performance and visual appeal. Over time, the Ventura SJ became overshadowed by its siblings and competitors, leaving it with a modest legacy. In today's collector market, demand is minimal, with interest largely confined to enthusiasts of the Nova platform or Pontiac completists. Its rarity stems more from a lack of preservation than from high desirability, and by 2025, it remains a largely forgotten chapter in Pontiac's mid-70s lineup, known more for its similarities to another brand's car than for its own achievements. Number 11. Mercury Cougar XR7. In the late 1970s, the Mercury Cougar XR7 evolved into a larger, more comfort-focused vehicle, moving away from its earlier performance roots. Once closely aligned with the Mustang in spirit and size, it had grown heavier and adopted a driving character centered on smoothness rather than speed. The XR7 trim added upscale touches, including distinctive exterior accents, premium interiors, and a host of comfort features. However, engine options during this period reflected the industry's retreat from high horsepower, offering adequate cruising capability but little excitement for performance enthusiasts. The suspension tuning favored a relaxed ride, which further distanced it from its sporty origins. This repositioning found success among buyers seeking style and luxury, but left muscle car fans largely uninterested. By 2025, the late 70s XR7 is mostly sought by those with nostalgia for Mercury's personal luxury era. In performance-orientated collections, it remains uncommon, remembered more for its styling presence than for delivering the dynamic driving experience of its earlier years. Number 10. 1974 Chevrolet Malibu Classic. The 1974 Chevrolet Malibu Classic carried an attractive exterior with balanced proportions and clean lines that reflected the era's design trends. Buyers could select from several trims, and the car offered a comfortable ride suited for daily driving. However, performance suffered under tightening emissions regulations and the industry-wide move toward reduced power output. Even with the available 350 cubic inch V8, the acceleration was modest, lacking the urgency of earlier Chevelle models. Transmission choices leaned toward smoothness rather than speed, reinforcing its role as a cruiser rather than a performance leader. While it retained some visual appeal, enthusiasts seeking muscle car excitement found the experience underwhelming. Over time, the Malibu Classic has been appreciated mainly for its styling and nostalgic value rather than for its mechanical capability. In the collector market, earlier high-performance Chevelles command attention, leaving the 1974 model as a quieter presence. By 2025, it remains a representation of mid-70s automotive compromise, more aligned with comfort and appearance than with delivering the performance heritage of its name. Number 9. Chrysler Cordoba. The Chrysler Cordoba debuted as a personal luxury coupe aimed at style-conscious buyers. Its design featured a prominent grille, well-proportioned body lines, and distinctive trim details that gave it an upscale image. Interiors were a major selling point, with plush appointments and the famous marketing emphasis on its premium upholstery. While these elements created an appealing package for comfort and visual presence, performance was not its primary focus. Engine choices offered adequate cruising capability, but did not deliver the acceleration or handling associated with muscle cars. Ride quality was soft, favoring refinement over agility. This positioned the Cordoba firmly in the personal luxury segment, appealing to those who valued appearance and comfort over outright speed. In later years, it has been remembered for its period styling and marketing appeal, rather than for mechanical achievement. By 2025, interest is generally tied to nostalgia for 1970s luxury coupes, with limited presence among collectors who prioritize high-performance models from the same era. Number 8. 1977. Buick Skylark SR. The 1977 Buick Skylark SR attempted to blend compact car practicality with a touch of sporty appeal. Its exterior carried subtle performance-inspired cues, and the SR trim added specific detailing to set it apart from base models. However, powertrain options offered limited performance, with small block V8 choices delivering modest output and acceleration. Handling characteristics each were average, with ride comfort prioritized over sharp cornering capability. Inside, the Skylark SR featured upgraded materials and a more refined atmosphere, aligning with Buick's emphasis on a premium compact offering. Despite these touches, it lacked the dynamic personality needed to connect strongly with performance enthusiasts. Sales found a modest audience among those wanting style and comfort in a smaller package, but it did not enter the ranks of celebrated muscle or sports-orientated cars. In today's collector landscape, the Skylark SR is a rare sight, mostly appreciated by Buick brand loyalists or those seeking an example of late 70s compact design rather than for any performance pedigree. Number 7. AMC Matador Coupe. The AMC Matador Coupe stood out immediately for its unconventional, flowing body lines and unique proportions. This design set it apart from the more conservative styling of many competitors in the mid-70s. Buyers had a range of engine choices, from economy-focused 6-cylinders to V8 options, yet none delivered the performance necessary to elevate it into muscle car territory. Reliability concerns and inconsistent build quality further limited its long-term appeal. While its design has earned a place in discussions of distinctive 1970s styling, the driving experience remained firmly on the comfort side, lacking in agility and speed. At the time, it drew both admiration for its bold looks and criticism for its shortcomings under the hood. In the decades since, its reputation has settled into that of a niche collectible, sought mostly by enthusiasts with an appreciation for AMC's willingness to take stylistic risks. By 2025, it remains uncommon on the market, remembered more for its visual statement than for its on-road capability. Number 6. 1978 Pontiac Phoenix. The 1978 Pontiac Phoenix entered the market as a compact offering positioned to appeal to buyers wanting sporty styling in a smaller package. Essentially a restyled version of the Pontiac Ventura, it carried similar proportions and a mechanical layout. Engine options ranged from economical 6-cylinders to small V8s, but performance figures were modest, with acceleration well below muscle car expectations. styling cues, including distinctive badging and trim variations, aimed to create a sportier image, though the driving dynamics remained largely unchanged from its predecessor. Inside, the Phoenix offered practical space for its size and typical Pontiac touches in design and layout. However, in an era when performance had taken a back seat to fuel efficiency and compliance, the Phoenix was more about appearance than capability. Its market impact was limited, and over the years, it has not achieved significant collector interest. By 2025, it remains a seldom-seen example of late 70s Pontiac design, valued mostly by those interested in the full breadth of the brand's history. Number 5. Chevrolet Caprice Classic Performance Packages. By the late 1970s, the Chevrolet Caprice Classic was a large, comfortable, full-size car that could be optioned with performance packages. These packages often included sport-oriented trim, unique wheels, and upgraded suspension components. But the underlying vehicle remained a heavy cruiser. Engine choices, constrained by emissions regulations, offered only moderate horsepower, making acceleration leisurely rather than spirited. While handling was improved slightly with firmer suspension setups, the driving character still leaned toward smooth, isolated travel rather than precision or speed. The Caprice's appeal at the time centered on its spacious interior, quiet ride, and upscale touches, which were valued by family and luxury-orientated buyers. For muscle car enthusiasts, however, it lacked the responsiveness and raw output of earlier high-performance Chevrolets. Today, late 70s Caprice classics with performance badging are rare, but not especially sought after, as collectors often favor lighter, more agile models from the same period. Their lasting identity is tied more to comfort and durability than to delivering the excitement suggested by their performance branding. Number 4. Dodge Magnum XE. The Dodge Magnum XE entered the market with distinctive NASCAR-inspired styling, featuring a bold front grille and aerodynamic shaping intended to evoke speed. Its proportions and aggressive presence positioned it as a sporty offering in Dodge's lineup. However, beneath the styling, the mechanical reality reflected the limitations of the smog-era performance climate. Engine options, while available in larger displacements, delivered restricted horsepower due to emissions requirements, resulting in acceleration that fell short of its appearance. The suspension provided a stable highway ride, but lacked the agility expected from a performance-oriented coupe. Buyers were drawn to its visual flair and spacious, well-appointed interior, making it a comfortable long-distance car rather than a sharp-handling sports machine. In the years since, the Magnum XE has found a niche following among enthusiasts who appreciate its distinctive look. Yet, in the broader collector market, it is overshadowed by genuinely high-performance models. By 2025, its reputation remains that of a striking design paired with restrained performance capability. Number 3. Plymouth Fury Sport Coupe. The Plymouth Fury Sport Coupe in the late 1970s offered a substantial, solidly built platform that found its greatest success in fleet and law enforcement applications. Its size and durability made it suitable for heavy use, and its available V8 engines provided reliable service rather than impressive speed. While the Sport Coupe designation suggested a more engaging driving experience, in practice, it retained much of the full-size, comfort-orientated character. Handling was steady, but uninspiring, with weight and suspension tuning limiting agility. Styling updates gave it a modestly sportier presence, yet performance remained secondary to practicality. Buyers in the retail market often chose it for its roominess and toughness rather than its acceleration. In collector circles today, interest is generally limited to those restoring vintage police cars or seeking a dependable classic cruiser. The Fury Sport Coupe stands as a reminder of the period's shift toward function and comfort, with performance aspirations taking a back seat in the design priorities of the time. Number 2. Ford Torino, late 70s. In its late 1970s form, the Ford Torino had transitioned away from its earlier muscle car roots into a more comfort-orientated personal coupe. The exterior maintained a substantial presence with clean lines and a prominent grille, appealing to buyers who valued size and style. Under the hood, available engines were tuned for smooth operation and compliance with emissions regulations, resulting in modest horsepower figures and slower acceleration. The suspension favored a cushioned ride over sharp handling, making it well-suited for highway cruising, but less engaging on winding roads. This evolution aligned with industry trends of the era, where performance took a back seat to fuel economy and refinement. While the Torino name carried recognition, the driving experience no longer matched its earlier reputation. In today's collector market, late 70s Torinos attract attention mainly from enthusiasts interested in the model's full history, with demand focused on earlier, higher performance years. The later versions remain a quieter chapter, defined more by comfort than competitive capability. Number 1. Pontiac Le Mans, late 70s. The late 1970s Pontiac Le Mans, once closely tied to the performance-orientated GTO lineage, had become a more restrained mid-size offering. Styling updates provided a clean, contemporary appearance, but mechanical choices reflected the era's focus on efficiency over power. Available V8s were smaller and less potent than in previous generations, resulting in moderate performance at best. Ride quality leaned toward smoothness, catering to buyers seeking comfort in daily use. While it retained a recognizable name, the character that had once defined the Le Mans as a capable, sporty alternative was largely absent. By this stage, competition from other brands offered more engaging options for enthusiasts, further diluting its market presence. In the decades since, these later Le Mans models have remained low on collector priority lists, with values reflecting their limited performance heritage. By 2025, they are mostly encountered in unrestored form, serving as reminders of a time when storied model names were adapted to meet shifting automotive priorities, often at the expense of their original identity. Some cars are worth every penny. These aren't. If nostalgia tempts you, remember that history doesn't always equal value. Think twice before chasing these 70s relics. Like, comment with your own picks, and subscribe for more straight talk car lists.